And at the state level, the story of the state of Wisconsin is really instructive. I mean, Republicans there had used aggressive gerrymandering in a similar way to draw themselves into a near legislative supermajority in a razor-thin, evenly divided swing state. And that was finally unwound in 2023 when fair map advocacy groups won a stunning victory in the Wisconsin Supreme Court that led to the overturning of the Republican gerrymander and giving Wisconsinites a real say in their representation. Ben Wikler was at the head of that effort. He served as the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party from 2019 to 2025. He's the author of the upcoming book, This is the Plan: How to End America's Meltdown and Save Democracy, and he joins me now. And Ben, I got to say, of all the people that talk about what's going on, I think you are in the top 5 of people with credibility to talk about concretely what we do because of what happened in Wisconsin under your leadership and stewardship, a plan that I remember you telling me before it happened, this is our game plan for how we're going to this is how we're going to reestablish democracy in Wisconsin. What are the lessons there? Because they're basically doing the Wisconsin model nationally right now.
They really are. And it's great to be with you, Chris. And I'm really excited to be able to share this book, essentially taking people inside the game plan for what we need to do as a country now, drawing on the pattern in Wisconsin. What we realized in Wisconsin is that there was no one election, there was no single fight that would allow us to unrig our state's democracy. It took a years-long effort mapping out step by step, domino by domino, what it would take to unrig our state and make it a democracy after it was a democracy desert. That's where we are now as a country. Project 2025 is basically reheated Project 2011, what Scott Walker and the Republicans did in Wisconsin, and many Republican state governments did after the Republican sweep in 2010. They suppressed votes, they smashed unions, they rigged maps, they took over state Supreme Courts, they flooded money into state legislative races and local races so they could change the rules and hold on to control. And if you want to fight against that, it takes more than a single candidate or the perfect message for the perfect moment. It takes a movement of thousands of people rolling up their sleeves and talking to people who may not agree with them yet, year after year, to be able to build power and win the races at every level that allow you to unravel a system of undemocratic control. That's where we are now as a country. And if we do that work, if we focus not just on congressional and Senate races, incredibly important as those are, but the state level fights and local fights, including this fall, fights like Wisconsin's trifecta, the North Carolina State Supreme Court race, we can get out of this mess and actually have a democracy worth the title of democracy in this country.
Yeah, and one of the key elements here that you can't like strategize or tactics your way out of is you got to win elections on tough terrain in a swing state. Like there's no way out other than winning these statewide races, particularly those state Supreme Court races. You know, Elon Musk threw a ton of money behind the sort of MAGA-backed, Republican-backed state Supreme Court candidate last year. In fact, there was you probably broke Wisconsin law by promising $1 million in payouts. A Wisconsin board says today. But I guess that's sort of both good and bad news, right? But like fundamentally, even when the deck is stacked, you've got a lot of money on the other side. You got to find a way to win in terrain that may be tough terrain.
That's it. Now, when you're facing this kind of disaster, when you're facing the world's richest man coming into your state, trying to buy a state Supreme Court race to reverse the majority, win his own lawsuit there, at a moment when he's killing hundreds of thousands of people around the world by unconstitutionally shredding foreign aid, threatening primary challenges against any politician who gets in his way, you have a choice. You can curl up in the fetal position under your covers and doom scroll, or you can get out and try to play an Uno reverse card on him and turn it into a referendum on whether far-right billionaires should be able to break the law, rewrite the rules, and dominate our country, or whether we should have a government by of and for the people. We had an amazing candidate, Susan Crawford. We had this movement that had been building for years across our state with thousands of people involved. And we won by 10 percentage points. Elon Musk, who at that time seemed like a guy who no one could stand up against, he went down in flames and Trump pushed him out of the White House starting the next day. And I think there's a lesson there about standing up and fighting in the face of this. There's also a lesson about paying attention to races where nobody's watching. There are so many of these right now, and there are chances with state legislative races to win control of state governments across the country, and Secretary of State races, attorneys general, governors races that nobody's talking about, where if this huge movement of millions of people right now, if we all do our job, then the people who run the elections in 2028 will be people who believe in democracy because we've won the midterm elections at the state and local level in 2026. That is the first key thing in the plan of This Is the Plan. It's to be the hipster wearing the Misfits shirt in the 80s before people knew about those races, not just the people wearing the t-shirt now. You've got to get involved in elections that no one's paying attention to. That's where your power is the greatest, where the impact of volunteers and yard signs can actually tip the balance. But if we do that, if we have victories in 26 at every level, in 28 we can protect the election, and that could allow us to actually make the kinds of reforms after 2028's election to end partisan gerrymandering, expand or put term limits on the U.S. Supreme Court, to add states that need representation. There's so much we can do to unrig the American system of government. We basically have one shot in 2029, and it's going to take years of work between now and then. So my call to everyone, and This Is the Plan, which you can find at thisistheplan.com for pre-order now, is to throw yourself into the work to retake our democracy.
And if all that sounds grandiose or unlikely, I will say that I sat in a coffee shop with Ben Wikler sometimes in 2021 where he mapped out what they had to do in Wisconsin. And every single thing he said, which when you concatenated them together seemed unlikely, like a six-leg parlay, happened. So if there's one person, this is not just pie in the sky, Ben Wikler, I would check out the book if I were you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, Chris.